Assalamu alaikum. Greeting, brothers, sisters. I'm going to take this opportunity today to do a little bit more reading of chapter 1, at least try to finish off chapter 1 for my brothers and sisters that has showed me real interest in liking the story of my true autobiography. So I'm going to finish where I left off and hopefully end at the end of chapter 1. And then maybe I'll read a little bit more. I'm in the process right now of trying to get this book published, inshallah, without having to let somebody become rich off of me. Okay, so let's continue. All right. Within 2 years, I had hundreds of guns and have given hundreds of guns to the Black Panther Party of self-defense. And I also armed a lot of other brothers and sisters who weren't Panthers, but were friends of Panthers. At 16, I still had the largest personal weapon stash of any single member of the chapter of the Black Panther Party in New York City, except for Captain John Thomas. He had 2 heavy war chests with all kinds of light and heavy weapons that he had brought back from Vietnam. I had 1 large war chest and a large storage box in my Panther den full of all kinds of guns and a few grenades, 2 gas masks and 1 flak vest, bulletproof vest, etc. In another area, I had an assortment of Chinese, Japanese martial art weapons, swords, etc., because I was a martial art expert. I had many of my non-Panther friends holding guns and explosives for me at their house and their homes. Jamel told me on the phone that the big job was like a piggy bank, and George wouldn't allow Freddie or Hassan to get down with this job because he hadn't done any previous work with either one of them before, and he didn't trust them like that. Jamel went on to explain that George mentioned to him if I wasn't with it, the job for tomorrow would be canceled. Wow. That it was especially planned with the idea of me doing a special assignment close to George. Jamel was convincing, and I didn't want to blow this opportunity for George and my comrades. They were always there for me whenever I needed them, and I was always there for them. I couldn't let them down now, and I thought about the challenge and the power I would experience in doing a big job on a piggy bank. It would take me to a higher level of revolutionary guerrilla warfare. And about the people always need money, and I and my comrades were the vanguards of the people. At that moment, I believed it was necessary for me to change my mind. I decided to go to do the bank job with George and my comrades. When I think about it now, I realize that decision I made while on the phone with Jamel Thursday evening, October 15, 1970, would shape my destiny and eventually change my life forever. I asked Jamel where did he want me to meet him. He told me to meet him at his house, and then we would go to a safe house to connect with George. I said right on, and I would be there in about an hour. I could tell from the tone of Jamel's voice that he was elated that I agreed to do the job and would soon be at his house. Before I hung up the phone, Jamel added, "Hey G, bring your main man, the trooper, with a pineapple, and remember, the chameleon is very important." I said, "Seize the time." I hung up the phone. The trooper was a code name for one of my favorite weapons, a 30 caliber carbine in a paratrooper stock with a 30-shot clip that had double grips and a push-in and pull-out wire stock for a shoulder rest. It had other accessories that I had also. The trooper was my dependable partner when facing serious drama or shit really hit the fan. The pineapple was a grenade. The chameleon meant I wouldn't wear a ski mask or I couldn't pull a stocking cap or something over my face. I had to have a disguise that would change my face and body appearance without looking like a stick-up kid or a stick-up master. After my phone conversation with Jamel, I went back downstairs in the basement of my panther den and was standing up near the back wall. Ramona was standing up near the back wall in front of the stereo set. Ramona was only wearing her black bra and black panties. She had combed out her long curly afro. She was so pretty, fine, and sexy. A 45 record by the Four Tops was playing on the box. Still Waters Run Deep. That was a song I played over and over again. The first time I made love to Ramona. The first time Ramona ever made love to a man. I rubbed my hand across Ramona's big round ass and turned around and smiled. And she smiled back at me as she put her arm around my neck and asked me did I want to dance. I told her no, baby. I got to get dressed, that I had to go now, and I was going to take her home. I had known Ramona for 3 years. We were good friends for about a year before we became lovers, about 6 weeks before that night. Ramona was 1 year older than I was. She was a foxy lady with style and class. A lot of older cats wanted her. She wasn't trying to get with nobody. She was hard to get. She wasn't giving up any panties. But she had such a sweet and charming personality. Cats that were hardcore cunhounds were happy to just be in her platonic friends, including myself. Ramona was very popular at school she was attending, and at the time she was a senior at Jamaica High School. She was smart and A's were her regular. She was into sports and modern dance. In the beginning, Ramona had no interest in the Black Panthers or the revolutionary struggle. She was into black awareness as far as basic history and culture was concerned, but like many of my peers at that time, she was raised to believe in the American dream. I rejected it because it wasn't reality. I wasn't a dreamer. I was a doer. Everyone loved Malcolm X. One day I was selling pamphlet papers and had a large crowd of students around me. I was rapping heavy, kicking it long and strong about history, culture, and current events. I connected Malcolm X speeches with the ideology and revolutionary practice of the Black Panther Party. Several brothers and sisters wanted to become Panthers after hearing my presentation. Ramona was in that crowd and became interested. After that, she started calling me and we became good friends. At the time, I was deep into Javannah, but I still was going out with other girls. Ramona knew my style and respected it. After I broke up with Javannah, Ramona was always coming by my house or meeting me someplace. It didn't take long for me to catch the vibes or for her to catch mine. I quickly pushed up on her and she couldn't resist me, so she gave in. The first time I made love to her, she was so shy and scared. She blew my mind. A few days later when she came back and wanted to do it again with me. Within a few days, Ramona had become bold and aggressive with sex. She was wide open to me, and the freak that was locked up deep inside her came out after I popped the lock. Within the weeks that followed, Ramona and I were together almost every single day. She became my woman, and we made love almost every other day. Ramona was thinking like a player, cop, lock, and block. She knew she was top choice and didn't leave me much time or energy to fool around with other girls who wanted to get with me. Ramona only felt insecure about one girl, and that was Javannah. Ramona was putting on the best the rest of her clothes as I laid the trooper and the pineapple gently on the bed. Ramona had seen all of my weapons, and I taught her how to shoot a few small caliber handguns. Ramona asked me, did Jamel or any of the brothers have static? Without giving it some thought, I spontaneously replied, baby, everyone is okay. I'm going to sting a bank. Ramona didn't even look surprised. She looked at me in the eyes and said, with her sweet voice and a concerned manner, I know you can do it, just be careful and don't get hurt. I was trying to figure out and find the right disguise to use, and Ramona came up with the idea of me dressing up like a female. When she first suggested it, I looked at her like she was out of her mind. Then she started to explain and name a few famous actors and comedians who had dressed up like females and that none of them were queers. She went on and added how all of my associates know how I like girls. If anyone doubted it, she would be the first one to tell the whole world how much a real man I am. That made me happy and I laughed. I was almost somewhat convinced. Ramona went on to talk about things like if I were a carpenter, whatever disguise I use is like a tool of the trade. Different tools for different jobs. The tools don't make the person a carpenter. The carpenter's skill make the use of a tool effective. And that's what makes a job get done well. I could relate to that. To top it off, Ramona added, besides, how could that could be our family secret, that we could tell our grandkids one day how grandpa as a teenager dressed up like a woman to rob a bank. That's how we were able to buy this big house and send all of you kids to college. I cracked up laughing. Ramona had a good sense of humor, but she really blew my mind with that one because I hadn't given any thought to having kids, settling down, or raising my own family. And Ramona was already visualizing me and her growing old together and having kids. Ramona convinced me to wear as a disguise a woman's wig, sunglasses, and then use some face powder. I refused to wear any lipstick or any strictly female clothes. I put on a pair of Pro-Care 69ers, pair of regular blue jeans, button-up shirt, pair of gloves, London fur coat. Inside a large duffel bag, I put the trooper along with the 30-shot extra banana clips. Both clips were loaded to the max. Steel jacketed shells. I thought that would be enough firepower along with my comrades were packing if we had to do something to get out of that place. But after second thought, I decided to take the 380 to carry in my inside pocket. I put the pineapple in my pocket jacket. I went behind the boiler and lifted up the towel covering the old drain pipe that was one of my cash stashes. In it, I pulled out $800, all in 20s, and was wrapped in plastic. I took it out in a large and put it in a large brown paper bag. I gave it to Ramona. I told her to take it home and stash it in her room. I told her to hold on to it in case I needed her to do something with it. I also went my war chest and I gave Ramona a nickel-plated 25 automatic with 2 7-shot clips, a lady's gun. She wanted to leave it in my house, but I told her to take it because she was going to be traveling in the dark and I may need her to do something with that also. We went upstairs, I called the cab, Mom, Dad, my sister Candy were all sitting in the living room watching TV together. I told Mom I was taking Ramona home and that I was going to spend the night at Jamel's house. My mother asked me if I was going to school Friday and I told her that I would take care of it. Mom didn't question that. She asked did Ramona and I want to eat any more dinner before we left. We said no, then said see you later, good night to my mother, father, and sister. Ramona and I jumped in a gypsy cab that came to my door and we split. When the cab arrived at Ramona's house in Bricktown, I got out, walked with her to the front door. The cab fare was $2. I gave the old cat that was the driver an extra $3 to wait for me. I stayed on the stoop as Ramona quickly went inside her house and came back out with her mother's wig and face powder in a paper bag. I had my duffel bag on the stoop with me. I put the paper bag that Ramona gave me inside. Ramona had been spending so much time with me, her mother acted like she was jealous or upset. Anyway, Ramona agreed to spend this weekend with her relatives in New Jersey. Now, she was telling me on the stoop she didn't want to go, that she wanted to be with me this weekend, and we had been together the past 6. She had promised her mother she would go with her, and I told Ramona to always keep her promise to her man, her family, and her friends, because her word should always be bond. She wanted to meet me after she got out of school Friday, but I told her I didn't know when I would be back in the area after finishing the job. I told her to call me Saturday, and I would see her on Monday. Ramona was very independent. She always used to keep a little pocket change from babysitting and doing females' hair. Ramona never liked to take cash from me directly for herself, but during the time we were together, I spent quite a bit of money with her. Every weekend we went to concerts, plays, movie theaters, clubs, parties, always someplace different, all over New York City. The hotels we often stayed at were very expensive ones in Midtown Manhattan, or scheduled sports or secluded spots near Kennedy Airport. I went shopping with Ramona shortly after we had become lovers and school had started, and I spent close to $300. I really didn't need anything, but I went on a shopping spree mainly to impress Ramona, and I'm sure I did. I bought a few things for myself at first, then I spent the money on her. Are we still moving? I think we're still on. Are we still moving? Are we still recording? Yes, okay. I just wanted to make sure for my audiences. Okay, here we go. On the stoop. Okay, where am I at right now? All right, moving along. Okay. The old cat that was driving the cab took the quickest, shortest route to Jamel's house. During the way, he kept running his mouth about what a pretty girlfriend I have, about the Vietnam War, how hunkies ain't shit, etc., etc., etc. When the old cat pulled up in front of Jamel's house, instead of giving him $5 for the extra $3 fare, I gave him a $20 bill and told him to keep the change. He had a shocked look and expression on his face and said he could now call it a night. He asked me, was I serious? I said, sure enough, my man, and go home to your wife or your kids or whatever you do and chill and remember, power to the people. George took a quick look in both directions of the street, moving on, and said, let's go, G, and make it happen. I opened the door and stepped out from the back seat of the Impala sedan. I closed the door behind me, and George leaned his head into the back door window. He was talking directly to Jamel. He told Jamel, synchronize his watch and start the countdown. Now, as George and I walked away